The crescent moon, one of the most symbolic symbols to the Muslims, has made its impact on West Africa, particularly in Senegal, a nation once controlled by the Dutch, British, French, and Portuguese. Senegal, situated in North Africa, influenced by its northeastern neighbor, the Middle East, has adopted Islam as its primary religion, triggering in a religious bond with Middle Eastern countries today, concluding in speculation from the Western powers. My name is Tenley Weinstein, and I will be presenting to you how Islam has sculpted Senegal's government, culture, society, and religious beliefs. Senegal has had a robust history full of greed and oppression, but in addition has received spurs of wealth, unity, knowledge, and power. To begin, it is necessary to know that Senegal was once part of the Mali Kingdom and is still influenced vastly by its eastern neighbor Mali in the modern age. Figure 1 displays a map of the trading routes from the Middle East to the Mali Kingdom. Since Senegal was situated closely to both the Middle East and Europe, trade was very accessible. During the 8th and 9th centuries, Middle Eastern merchants began to trade with Mali. As trade began, Islam was quickly spread to West Africa, along with culture diffusion between the Middle East and the Mali Kingdom. Around the 15th century, Europe began to interact with Senegal. In 1659, the French made their first settlement inside of Senegal. Shortly afterwards, in 1677, one of the most important moments in Senegal's history occurred. France created a slave departure port on the island of Gorée, situated next to modern-day Dakar, the capital of Senegal. This became a base to purchase slaves from warring chiefdoms. See Figure 2. After taking the island of Gorée, France's control expanded quickly to the rest of Senegal and eventually captured all the country in the late 1800s. In 1895, Senegal became part of French West Africa. Natives of Senegal were treated equally under French control, automatically being placed as citizens of France. See Figure 3. In 1960, Senegal became an independent part of the Mali nation and still remains an independent country in 2013. Senegal, situated in North Africa, influenced by its northeastern neighbor, the Middle East, has adopted Islam as its primary religion, triggering in a religious bond with Middle Eastern countries today, concluding in speculation from the Western powers. Rose Skelton, a writer specializing in West African music, politics, and cultural affairs, writes in a Bloomberg article that Senegal is trying to position itself as a center for Islamic finance in West Africa, where about 52% of the population is Muslim. As the government pursues changes that will enable the first sales of sukuk. Sukuk refers to the Islamic equivalent of bonds. 95% of the population of 12.7 million people in Senegal is Muslim. Four Islamic brotherhoods dominate religious and political life in Senegal: the Quadrille, the Tijani, the Moured, and the Layen, each of them made up of leaders or sheikhs and followers, Mourids. The Jewish Daily Forward suggests that Mali, which used to be part of a federal entity with Senegal last year, witnessed an Islamic insurgency so powerful that French troops were called in to quell it. But observers attribute it variously to the country's moderate brand of Islam, its relative openness to the West, and its past disillusionment with Arab regimes. In 1973, under pressure from Arab countries, Senegal severed its ties with Israel. The future of Senegal seems unknown as its bond to both the Middle East and France seem inescapable, both different in cultures, religions, values, but most importantly, political beliefs. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation, and I hope you have learned much more that you've known about Senegal.